Hello! This presentation is about CSS keyframe animations. CSS allows animations of HTML elements without using JavaScript or Flash. When you use CSS styles inside the @keyframes rule, animation changes from the current style to a new style. So if you're anything like me, this is kind of a new concept, so I wanted to start off by showing you a few examples of what is possible using just CSS to animate elements. So here I found some CodePens online, and I wanted to show you a couple of examples. So because the human brain is hardwired to notice movement, learning how to use CSS to add animations to your website is a great way to draw attention for your audience. Here's one that has a little bit of JavaScript here to do the switch, but all of the animation is styled by CSS. No JavaScript at all on this one is used. This is obviously a lot more advanced than what I know how to do, but it's really neat to see what you could do just with JavaScript. Okay, so let's get over here. CSS animations are made up of two basic building blocks. First is the keyframes. These are the foundations of CSS animations. They define what the animation looks like at each stage of the animation's timeline. The @keyframe rule includes the name of the animations, the stages shown as percentages, and the CSS properties for each stage. So here you can see the name for this keyframes is bounce in. This has 3 stages. At 0%, which is the starting point, using the transform property, the element is scaled down to 10% of its default size. At the second stage, which is 60%, the element doubles its default size. And at the final stage, 100%, it scales down and returns to its default size. The second building block is to now assign the @keyframes rule to a specific HTML element and define how it is animated. There are 2 essential components that must be included or your animation will not work. The first one is you must assign the animation name that you defined in the @keyframes to the element. And the second one is you must assign the animation duration. The duration defines how long it takes for the animation to complete. This is given in seconds or milliseconds. The default is 0. So if you forget to include this, it will play for 0 seconds, which means it will not play at all. As you can see, for the heading class, I have some other properties assigned to style this heading. And then here at the bottom, you can see the name and duration animation properties have been added. So let's see this in action. We're going to reload this. So you can see our stages are at work here as the element begins small, grows, and shrinks as we have defined it here in our @keyframes rule. As you can see, I've assigned the @keyframes rule to the H1 element with the heading class. In addition to the other styling, you can see the animation name and duration have been added. There are some other animation properties that will make your animations even cooler. So I'm going to go through each one of these individually and we're going to look at them in detail. So the animation delay specifies a delay for the start of the animation. It uses seconds or milliseconds, and you can also use negative numbers to start as if it had already been playing for a certain amount of time. The animation iteration count specifies the number of times an animation should run. The default is 1, so if you leave this blank, the animation will play once. This animation here has an animation iteration count of 3, so it will play 3 times and stop. Here's a CodePen of these 2 properties. I'm going to refresh this. So you can see that there's a 2-second delay before it gets started, and the iteration count is set to infinite, so it will continue to repeat indefinitely as long as the page is loaded. You can see here in the at keyframes rule, I have set the background color to change at each stage as well as its position. The animation direction specifies whether an animation should be played forwards, backwards, or in alternate cycles. So normal means that it's playing from beginning to end. Reverse means it plays backwards from end to beginning. Alternate means it plays forward first, then backwards in alternating cycles, and alternate reverse means it plays backwards first and then alternates directions. So here I'll show you an example of what this might look like. So this animation is set to alternate. It's also repeating infinitely, but so the first time it plays, I can reload it. The first time it plays, it will play forwards and then backwards and continue in alternating directions. Okay. The next property is the animation timing function. This specifies the speed curve of the animation, meaning how it starts and stops and plays in the middle. It is used to make the changes happen smoothly. The animation timing function uses the cubic Bezier curve, which is a math function, to make the speed curve. You can use your own values right here in this function, or you can use one of these predefined values. Okay, so here I've created 5 different divs with different timing function values applied, so you can see a comparison of each of them. As you can see, each element starts out at the same time and finishes at the same time, but they all have a different speed curve, giving the animation a different feel for each one. The default is ease. If no other value is assigned, this means the animation will start out slow, speed up, and then slow down. The other values are linear, which means it has the same speed from start to finish, and this value is kind of frowned upon as it's not a very professional look. Ease in tells the animation to start slow. Ease out tells it to end slow, and ease in out gives the animation both a slow start and a slow end. This one differs from ease in that it doesn't speed up in the middle. Okay, so animation fill mode specifies a style property for the animation when it is not playing. This property can be a little confusing. By default, the animation will not affect the styles of the element before the animation begins or after the animation is finished. The animation fill mode property can override this. So backwards means that the styles of the initial keyframe, or 0%, are applied to the element before it plays. And then forwards applies the style of the final keyframe, or 100%, to the element after the animation is finished. The both value applies both the backwards and forwards properties and will extend the animation properties before and after the animation. Normal is the default and will not apply any animation properties before or after. So in this CodePen, let's see, fill mode. Okay, let me refresh this. Okay, I got this thing working again. So let me reload this. Okay, so it has a 3-second delay, and it also has an animation fill mode set to forwards. So this means that it's going to retain the styles of the last stage. All right. Animation play state. This specifies whether an animation is playing or paused. So the values are pretty straightforward. just playing or paused. And here's an example of how this might be used with the hover selector. So here you can see when I hover over the element, it pauses it, and when I move it away, it resumes. All right. Here you can see the order of the elements for using shorthand. When using shorthand, you would just use the property of the animation here, and then fill in the values separated by a space in this order. So here's an example of what that would look like. As you can see, for this class of box, you can see the animation property right here. And then the name is CSS box. It has an animation duration set for 5 seconds. The timing function is set for ease in, ease out. The animation delay is set for 2 seconds. The iteration count is infinite, and the direction is set for alternate. So that really saves a lot of time and space and coding just to be able to put that all in one line. Makes it look nice and clean. All right, this concludes my presentation. Thanks for watching and have a great day.